Let's start off by taking a look at the role of Trevor Manuel, and now we've heard news that the ANC is proposing an alternative to Green Paper on strategic planning, and thereby it's going to destroy the power and authority that Trevor Manuel has. Do you think that this was to be expected at some point?
Well, given the fact that the left, led by COSATU, has been so vocal, we expected the ANC to listen and try and manage the process. However, what's been very disappointing is a preoccupation in the middle of a financial and global economic crisis on political position rather than getting the work done. We've lost just around 1 million jobs, companies are being liquidated, and people really are being pushed to the brink. So one would expect the new ANC government to focus on delivery than being preoccupied about power and the position around Trevor.
I'm sure that COSATU had a big role to play as well, because they have been criticizing Trevor Manuel for accumulating too much power. Do you think that was just a lot of pressure from the trade unions regarding this?
I think President Zuma, given the fact that the left, COSATU, SACP, had supported him so much during the trial and pre-elections, that it was to be understood that he has to make some compromises. Unfortunately, during this time, we need decisiveness. We need to make sure that this economy is supported to move forward. And we're not seeing again, we're seeing the ANC busy bickering and making compromises, when in fact, we need to get the economy going. We need to make sure that the promises around employment, around poverty reduction are addressed than bickering around the political positions.
Lumkile, in your mind, do you think Trevor Manuel is the man for that job?
He's proved his mettle, he's been there, he's done that, and he's supported by the markets, and he's being trusted because, you know, he leads, he makes decisions, and the new guys have yet to show their mettle. So for me, really, I would have loved to have this issue been resolved much more earlier, and the focus on how do we move this economy forward.
So if, in your mind, he is the right man for the job, why is there so much of a shift in power at this stage that they are trying to undermine Trevor Manuel's authority? Well,
I think because he came from the Mbeki team, there's a preoccupation that the Mbeki team had failed by not doing certain things. For example, the fact that unemployment, poverty, inequality had widened to an extent, therefore they see him as one of the architects of that. And which is unfortunate, really, because I think a lot has been achieved. The infrastructure that we're seeing around us came from the prudent financial and fiscal management of Trevor Manuel and Mbeki's team. So really it's unfortunate that people are focusing on the wrong things than focusing on the ball. The ball is about the economy and how to bring millions of unemployed South Africans to the economy.
Now they're talking about a presidential planning commission consisting of President Jacob Zuma and Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe. Do you think that they'll be able to pull it off?
Well, they'll pull it off, but you know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and the eating will be creating jobs, making sure that the private sector is supported, private sector focuses on making money, than us, all of us, reading about politics, not getting things done. Let's get on with it.
Advisory body busy being picked for the National Health Insurance Scheme. Do you think this is the time where we should be looking at a scheme like this in South Africa, considering that we are currently under significant pressure and of course the budget deficit is set to swell to incredible levels over the next 3 years?
The reality is that, you know, we cannot have a first-class health system and have majority outside the system. So somehow, somewhere, we need to give back, particularly us as a middle class, to make sure that the poor have got access to those. How do you do it? I think the proof of the advisory committee will be engagement that they do with all these players, whether it's medical, healthcare, it's the doctors that are around, the workers in the sector, as well as society at large. So we're looking forward to a serious engagement with the advisory board. But I think we cannot afford it at the moment. But I think a plan is needed so that we can focus and look forward.
In the future, considering, I mean,
it can't be
at
the
UK
moment.
NHS, I mean, they're battling to keep that going.
It can't be at the moment, but I think the fact that they're putting the discussion on the agenda, we need people to come with alternatives. So there is a compromise out there, and I think for the ANC as well as the Minister of Health to put this thing on the agenda is forcing us to come out with a compromise. We should bring in the marginalized and the poor into the health system, which we don't have access to at the moment.
Lots of trouble at the top, it seems. Jacob Maroga, and of course him being the Eskom CEO, the board has asked him to step down, and now we've heard that Jacob Zuma is probably backing him in him staying at the top position. Of course, this is just speculation, but we have heard Public Enterprises Minister Barbara Hogan being very vocal about her supporting Jacob Maroga. Do you think that that is the right thing to do, considering that Eskom has been under the spotlight for stockpiles coming under pressure and, of course, not being managed properly?
Well, it's an unfortunate incident because I think the board of directors is supposed to act in the interest of the company. And in this case, if what we're reading is true, it's quite disappointing to see the shareholder wanting to intervene, because it means that basically the board has no power and authority at all. So one expects in this case that the board should prevail, so that the board can be respected, particularly by society, because you cannot have a situation whereby shareholders try to run the company, because in terms of shareholder agreements between the board and government, the shareholder, in this case government, has empowered the board to make those decisions. So unfortunately it's not happening, but one would have expected that Mr. Maruha will have taken leadership. If things are not going very well with the board, will have done the best thing, just leave, because it's no use to be sitting with a board that that it's not on site when you've got huge challenges to deliver electricity to South African industry and South African household, and you failed.
Who should be taking accountability for all the wrong things that have been done at Eskom?
Well, in this case, in fact, it's both management and the board. Probably both of them should walk the walk, and we get new management and we get the board, so that we can start on a clean slate and we can focus on the things that need to be done. But at the same time, there's a broader policy issue here, with the South African government hasn't come to the party. The fact that we've got sun 365 days per annum, there's a whole opportunity here around the solar industry, and government subsidizing all the geysers in the rest of the country, making sure that all new houses have got solar geysers, because that will be introducing in alternative forms of energy, by the same time looking at a sustainable option than the carbon that Eskom continues to rely on. And we now facing a situation whereby we're going to go to Copenhagen with a position, because one of the biggest polluters in the African continent.